Sit nice and tall through your spine. Take a moment to roll your shoulders up, back, and down. And also the opposite direction, forward and down. Comfortable gaze or close the eyes here. And we'll move from our conversations coming into class, from the prep to get yourself here onto the mat, fully into the present moment. Nice inhale. And really work to extend and lengthen through every exhale. We touched for just a moment there in our opening conversation on how much of the past year, for good reason, we've spent in that fight or flight sort of autonomic nervous system. One of the best ways to transition more towards the parasympathetic is this extension of the exhale. For this hour on the yoga mat, it's a good place to look to. And I wanted to open with a story this morning. Not particularly linked to the practice, but linked to the intention, the space, the reasons that we might have for coming to yoga practice from time to time. Years ago, when I was co-owner of Capitol Hill Yoga with Stacy, we decided that we wanted to buy a harmonium for the studio. To open class, to be able to end class. Singing together, a bit of kirtan every now and again. And we did that, we sought out Win Paris. He's a local kirtan musician. I think it was Kelly Fisher that said, you've got to go find Win, and he will find the harmonium that's just right for Capitol Hill Yoga. And Win spent some time finding the right instrument for us. He brought it to us. He came several times to help teach Stacy and I how to play, at least how to tune the machine, and to sing Om together in harmonium. It was just a lovely experience. Win came back a few times to do kirtan concerts, to teach our greater staff how to play the harmonium as well. Just a really full, giving individual. And I learned that Win passed yesterday, sort of suddenly. And I've just been thinking about all his gifts, the joy that he brought to that space of Capitol Hill Yoga, the space that became Realignment Studio, and that so many of us have graced with our own joys and our own sorrows as well. Letting those places find yourself through the poses, through the movement, what works today. Bring your palms together and your thumbs to the sternum. And let's open this class as I generally close in the sound of Om. We're passing from the time off the mat now into the space on the mat for practice. You're welcome to sing along, to listen, to tune it out. Empty out the breath and take a deep breath in. Just bow in. Remembrance for Win and memory of the loved ones with us and that have passed. And we'll release the hands, lift the head. And keep the eyes closed and just tilt your right shoulder, your right ear over towards the right shoulder. And walk the left fingertips out to the side. Take the right hand on top of the left ear and give it a little bit of a tug out to the side. Bring both hands back to the thighs, lift the head, and then tilt left ear over towards the left shoulder. Walk the right fingertips out to the side, and take the left hand on top of the right ear for a little bit of a lengthening here. Hands back to the thighs, lift the head. Okay, open the eyes. Come on over to all fours. Place the hands under the shoulders and the knees under the line of the hips. And do cat and cow here. Let the spine move up and down, back and forth. Just creating the movement, creating the space to work with today. And then change to downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, lift the hips. Here in down dog, pedal out the feet a little bit, back and forth. And then settle into your pose. Take the feet a little longer, a little wider than typical, so that as you stretch, it's with an extra bit of reach. Lower the knees all the way down. Press back to child's pose, hips towards your heels. Reach your arms out long in front of you. And then take twisted child's pose, right arm under the left. Set the shoulder, side of the face, your ear down to the mat. Keep reaching your left arm straight out in front on the mat. We're gonna keep it down here and give a little peek underneath your left armpit. And then extract the right arm. And do the same on the second side. Thread your left arm under the right. Keep reaching the right fingertips out in front on the mat, but you can tent up to the fingertips so that you get a little extra light to look underneath the right armpit. And then extract the left arm. Come up to all fours. And almost the same thing, but this time, lift your right hand all the way up to the sky first. And then keeping the hips lifted, go again, shoulder, side of the face and ear down to the mat, left fingertips on the ground out in front, tinted, still looking underneath the left armpit. Now lift the left arm up to the sky. Take another breath. Lower the left hand beside your face. Use it to help you up to all fours. Breath in and breath out. And then second side, lift the left arm high. I always notice on this side how hard that is in the hips. I don't know. And then thread it through. Shoulder, ear, side of the face, down to the mat. Reach the right fingertips out in front at first. Keep them tented. Try to square off the hips and lift the right arm now up towards the sky. And try to lift from the head of the right shoulder up, up, up. And then place the right hand back down beside your face. Unthread to all fours. Tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Again, walk the feet back a little bit and wider, like as wide as your yoga mat. And I more want that width rather than length if you're choosing one. Okay. So I'm going to bring my hands closer together so that the thumbs just barely graze each other. And then pick up your right hand so that you're balancing on just one hand and 2 feet. And twist. Take the right hand to hold on to the outside of the left leg. And it could be higher up on your thigh or slide the hand lower towards your ankle. But keep pressing down through the left hand to feel that same tented lift underneath the armpit. And then place the right hand back down. And again, the hands just slightly more towards the center than it might normally be in down dog to help us out with the balance here. And then left hand up. And that's one stage of the pose. You might be staying there. Add just a slight twist by taking the hand towards the upper thigh and looking underneath the right armpit, or slide the hand lower towards the outer ankle. Try to keep pushing thighs back and heels down as you look underneath the right side. And take the left hand back, good old regular downward facing dog, and change to a low lunge. Bring the right foot all the way forward into your long, low lunge. Yeah, take a couple of steps, get it there, first one of the day. Knee over ankle, fingertips in line with our toes. And then give a little extra lift through the back side here. Tone the thigh muscle to the bone, and lift the right arm up to the sky. So you're going to see some twist, obviously, coming into practice today. The pose that we're sort of working with and through is twisted monkey, Ekapada Raja Kapapatasana Dwi Prep. Lower the right hand to the inside of the foot. Spin the back heel down and walk the hands out towards the left corner of the mat for down dog lunge. I do twisted monkey in almost every class. It's not something particularly new, but breaking down the nuances of it, it's a lunge, it's a quad stretch, twist, it's a back bend, all these things coming together. And then walk the hands back in around the front foot, lift up your back heel and set your left knee down to the mat. Walk the hands up to your front thigh Anytime that back knee is down on the mat and you need more padding, my easiest trick is to like fold the mat over. It doesn't need anything else extra, but you could always slide a little more comfort underneath the knee. All right, so our hips are moving a little down and forward here. Maybe give it a couple of pulses until you find your low point for now. Squeeze the hips as if they're moving in towards each other. Tighten in the glutes. And lift the arms up. Big reach. So this is that lunge. This is the quad extension. Lower the hands. Make your way back to downward facing dog. Pedal out the feet. Let's find our starting points on the second side. So left foot forward. Take your time to get into that long lunge. Back thigh higher but wider than you might think to be, and then take the left hand up. True to nature throughout my month, the first half of the month tends to be more intensive strength building focus in the postures. We get here towards the end of the month, and we're focusing a little bit more on the length and stretch of the postures. Left hand to the inside of the foot, spin the back heel down. Walk the hands out over towards that right corner of the mat and down dog lunge. Try to push more weight into the back leg. Broaden the left knee away from the left shoulder. Don't worry about putting weight in the hands. Keep it in your feet. Steadying out the breath, lengthening our exhale today. And then walk the hands back in, lift the back heel, rotate into a low lunge. And the back knee down to the mat. Walk the hands up to the front thigh. A couple of breaths to kind of release down and forward into the hips. Finding your lower point. Still strong, squeeze in. So even as we lengthen, we're looking for balance, structure, and strength still. Lift the arms up to the sky. One more breath. And let's lower the hands down. Back your way to all fours. And then I want to do big hip circles. They go down towards the wrist and up and back towards your heels. Just these big circles. Go in the same direction several times here. And then switch directions. Do the opposite rotation several times as well. And then downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, lift the hips. Okay, let's take a nice deep bend in the knees. Walk your hands backwards to your feet. From the end of our mat, our ragdoll pose. Keep that bend in your knees. A real sense of heaviness and release in the upper body. Let your hands hang or hold onto your elbows. Some folks like to hold like hands behind the head here. Whatever works best for you. Let out the breath. Meet yourself where you are this present moment. And then nice and slow, roll it up to standing. Shoulders up and back a couple of times. And roll the shoulders forward and down a couple of times. Okay, let's travel up to the front edge of our sticky mat. Reach both arms up to the sky. And then exhale, forward fold. So sun salutations here. Inhale, half lift. Extend from your hips out to the crown of the head. And then step back to plank. Lower flat down to your yoga mat. Let's emphasize this lift in cobra. Stay here for a moment. Squeeze the elbows to the side. Keep some bend in the elbows. Thighs stay on the ground. Big lift through the torso. Squeeze the glutes. Press the hands and feet down. And exhale, release back down. Change to downward facing dog. Take several breaths in dog pose. And then change, look forward to your hands, step or jump to the front of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Stand up, reach the arms overhead. Bring palms together, center of the chest. We'll do it again. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift. Step back to plank. Lower flat down to the mat. Okay, a little different here again in cobra, lift up. Exhale, lower down, but then shift your hands wider than the mat. Come up to those tented spider fingers. Point the elbows straight up to the sky and lift again. I want you to send the left shoulder a little more forward and lift up. The right shoulder a little forward and down and lift up. Go again to the left side and up and again to the right side. Whole time staying strong in the legs. Lower it all the way down. Press back to child's pose. Change to downward facing dog. Breathe here. Readying the torso rotation, readying the back bend, aspects of this pose as we ready in the legs as well. Look forward in between the hands, step or jump, front of the mat. Inhale, half lift and fold. Stand up, reach the arms to the sky. Bring palms together, center of the chest. One more time, Surya Namaskar. A, inhale, lift high. Exhale and fold. Half lift. Step back to plank. Lower flat down to the mat. Okay, hands stay right under the shoulders this time. Lift up, stay here. Press through your thumb, your first finger. Again, that nice strong squeeze, the elbows into your side. But then can you lift just a little bit higher, arms almost straight. Maybe a couple of pulses. Stay really strong and engaged in the glutes and legs here. Bringing the back bend into our upper back. And then shift. Child's pose. Shift to downward facing dog. Looking good. Look forward to the hands. Make your way to the front of the mat. Half lift. Forward fold. Stand up, reach the arms to the sky, high, high, high. Stay here, arms lifted. Take your right hand, hold on to your left wrist. Reach up and over to the side. Feel free to squeeze your feet closer together, push your hips away from you. Nice crescent here. And then come back to your center and switch. Hold on to the second hand. Lift higher, up and over. Beautifully done. Okay, back to your center. Exhale, forward fold. Keep the right foot forward. Step your left foot back into your low lunge. Warrior one. Spin the back heel down. The back toes should turn in about 70 degrees so that big toe is faced up towards the left corner of the mat. Hands to your hips. Build the torso straight up and down best we can. Think tailbone down, head up. And then bend into the front knee a little bit more, but without letting go of the pressure into the back outer foot. And arms up to the sky. Turn the palms in so they face each other here. And then a change. Bend at the elbows like goddess or goalpost arms. Palms face out to the front of the mat now. And can you imagine squeezing the tips of your shoulder blades in towards each other? So much so that you can bend up and over that line. Little back bend here, look towards the sky. And then back to neutral. Stretch the arms back high. Lower them each side of the front foot. Step backwards to downward facing dog. And now we're going to stay on that same leg forward. So right leg up into the air now. Bend your right knee. And point the knee up to the sky. So now you're getting that twist a little lower in the body. Peek underneath your right armpit. But then can you shift right armpit a little bit down towards the mat so you feel as though the torso is back to squaring off to the floor. Hold it. Now change. Pull the right knee in towards your nose, round forward, and up and back, three-legged dog. Step it all the way through to your low lunge. Spin the back heel down. Open up for warrior two. So we'll point the back toes straight ahead towards that long edge of your mat. As you open up, chest, shoulders, hips towards the side. Gaze out still over your front fingertips. Cartwheel the hands right back down around the front foot. And step forward this time. Left foot forward to the front of the mat. Pedal out the feet a little back and forth. And then second side. Keep your left foot forward and step your right foot back. Okay, we started with warrior one. Spin the back heel down. Line up heel to heel. Or if you like a more narrow stance, you can go heel to the middle of the back foot. Turn the back toes in, that sharp 70-degree angle. Hands to the waist. And I like this step because then I can really see and feel as I lift my torso up all that I have to do to get to slide the tailbone underneath. As the tailbone goes straight down, more tone in the front of the abdomen. Rectus abdominis here has to engage and take a little more bend into the front knee. Arms up to the sky. Change to your goalpost, goddess arms. Again, bend at the elbows, elbows about shoulder height. Squeeze tips of the shoulder blades in. Tips of the shoulder blades squeeze in. Try to still spread across trapezius, upper back there. Look up towards the sky. Go back to neutral, straighten the arms. Take the hands down to frame the front foot. Downward facing dog. Lift the left leg up into the air, three-legged dog. Bend your knee, open the hip. Again, so we point the left knee more towards the sky. The toes are closer to the right side. And if we let the leg do all the work, it's also going to turn our torso and our shoulders, even our hands a little bit. And there's a point of like, let it happen. And then, can you keep the belly a little turned towards the side, but rotate the shoulders back down. So you're coming into the strength then. It's a lift underneath the right shoulder blade to square off left. Okay, pull the knee into the chest, hover, and then up and back. And this time a little more momentum can swing you all the way into the low lunge. That's it. Warrior two, spin the back heel down, toes point out to the side. Heel to heel here, open up. And we're always looking for that balance here. You don't want the butt to swing out to the back too much. You don't want the hips to sit forward too much. Find that Goldilocks right in the center. Just a couple of breaths. And then lower the hands and step forward. Remember, both feet to the front. Knees bent, pedal it out. Heel toe your feet wide so that you can go to your yogi squat. I like toes out about 30 degrees. So I hang my toes off of the mat, heels on the mat. Keeping some weight in the hands. Bend your knees, start to lower, 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 hips down. If the heels start to come off of the mat, you've got a couple of options. You could roll the mat so that you have a little bit more lift underneath the heels, or you just don't lower the butt any further. But if the heels are lifting just a little bit, that roll of the front of the mat, giving yourself an inch or two of a heel can be quite helpful. Once the hands can come off of the ground, bring them to prayer, hands right in front of the chest. Lift your torso. Stay here a few breaths. Continue to broaden and push down through all four corners of your feet best you can. And then hands back down to the ground to help you safely come back to straighter legs and work your way all the way to standing. You can roll through or one long stand, shoulders up and back. Shake it out a little bit. Have y'all noticed in this year in which, if you're like me, I'm like just getting in less steps throughout each day, that like in particular, my squats are a lot harder than they ever used to be. Maybe it's just a function of some poses come and go as we build, but I think it's a function of a little less walking and movement. I don't know, fun to take a look at. Back up at the front of the mat. Inhale, lift the arms to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Let's take downward facing dog, step it all the way back. Step the right foot forward into your low lunge and bring the back knee down to the ground. Both hands to the inside of the foot. Heel toe your right foot all the way over to the right edge of the mat. And then turn it out just like you did in the squat just before. So toes off the mat, heel on the mat, your toes, knee, hip, all about a 30-degree turnout. Left hand, reach it a little bit forward and then off to the side and put weight down on that left hand. So when you're taking weight away from the legs a little bit into the hand here, make sure you're being good to your shoulder. If you have any sort of shoulder contraindications, you might want to stay on fingertips or just a little less weight there. Okay, but the purpose of this is so that it's easier to get us into a big turn and rotation in our torso. Look over your right shoulder to try to see. Can you see from your peripheral vision your back heel? I'm going to lift my butt just a little bit to make it easier to pull the back heel in towards the seat. One of the reasons we're getting a little bit of weight onto that left hand is so there's less likelihood that we're going to cramp and Charlie horse as we take in this quad stretch. Right hand, reach it onto your left foot and pull the heel as close as you can in towards your seat. And if I lift my seat up to the heel, it's going to be easier to get it there. We want to keep those two things combined as much as possible and then slowly lower a little bit into the hips, into the thighs. And you can kind of play with it, sway with it a little bit. Not worrying so much about the upper portions of the pose here, getting into that nice, good thigh stretch. And then you're going to release. Walk it back in so that you have hands on either side of your front foot. So I've brought my right foot back into the center. Bring the hands up to your front thigh and go back here. We've already been here. Anjaneyasana. Lift the arms up. Another name for this pose is monkey lunge. So obviously a lot of connections to the twisted monkey lunge. And then lower the hands either side of the front foot. Step it backwards to downward facing dog. Pedal out. Second side, looking at twisted monkey from the thigh stretch. Step the left foot forward. Both hands to the inside of your foot. Heel toe the left foot so that it's way over on the left edge of your mat. Again, toes out. So toe, knee, hip, all about 30-degree turnout. Set the back knee down if not already. And again, we're trying to reach our right hand in front of the line of the left foot and out to the side. So I've got my toes off the mat on one side, my entire hand off the mat on the other side, really broadening out the space. Pull the back heel in towards your seat. And as you do that, I want you to look up and over your left shoulder to see your back toes, whether they're up or down. And then you take the left hand, like a big rainbow shape all the way around to grab hold of your foot and pull it closer. And again, it's not just the foot having to pull in, but you can just lift your seat up more. Try to keep outer hip attached and move down and up a little bit. I'm pulsing, I'm bending my right elbow a little bit out to the side to give me some space here. And then stay in that lower point as works for you. Don't worry about the twist and the back bend. And slow release of the back foot. Come back in, good old low lunge with the back knee down, hands up to the front thigh. And arms to the sky, monkey lunge or Anjaneyasana. Anjane meaning heart. Heart lift pose. Lower the hands. Make your way to downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward to plank. And go flat down on your belly. I want you to take your feet, your legs, about as wide as your yoga mat here. A lot of times we have feet all the way together. I want them as wide as the mat for these belly down back bend variations. Reach your hands back behind you, palms up to the sky. So this is locust pose or Shalabhasana, but with our feet and legs down. Still need to squeeze your glutes, activate strength, safety around low back, and then lift in the upper body. Lift the thumbs, the first finger more up towards the sky so it turns the inner arm bones a little bit up. Do your best here, a couple more breaths. And then lower it down. Feel free to turn a cheek to the mat or to your, make the pillow with your hands to lay your forehead into. And just rest. Go back to that extension of the exhale. Okay, and then second version here. Same thing with the legs. Take the hands. This time, can you turn your palms down? This is often too much for me, but the thought is, can you hold onto your legs with your hands, palms down? And it can be more thought than doing, right? It's what we're always working in these poses. So palms are down instead of up, and then lift. And if the hands can hold onto the thighs, do that. Squeeze in the glutes. And then release and go to the second cheek or back, pillow of the hands, forehead. Rest. Change, push back to child's pose. And then bring your torso upright so you're sitting back on your heels. If you need to sit in a different way so that your feet, knees feel better, feel free. But sitting back here, interlace the hands, flip the palms, lift up. Okay, release the hands. So we did twisted child's pose at the beginning, like you know it. And that ended up with our shoulder or side of the face kind of in the center of the body, if you will. I want to try a little bit of a more depth in twisted child's pose. And you have to be your own judge as to if it works for you or not. It looks like this. You're just in that twisted child's pose, and instead of dropping shoulder to the middle, you're inching over a little bit so that you're trying to connect your outer knee and shoulder. And as it happens, your butt will fall down. Your butt will lift up away from the heels, but it's just a deeper twist there, trying to connect shoulder and outer knee. Give it a try, and as you do so, you'll be less on your ear. I'm almost more on the back of my head here. And left arm out in front, more looking straight up to the sky. And then slowly, carefully back your way out of that pose. Okay, so you can do both sides still. Twisted child's pose. So if you're regularly here in twisted child's pose, it's just this little nuance of trying to close it in even more. Shoulder closer to the knee. It's probably hard for it to come across super great on camera. Give it a go to your second side. If you haven't done the first side yet, do both. And if it's too triggering, it's too much, do what you've already done a second time. I say that because it can really kind of block and constrict the breath in the upper chest. It's a little triggering for me, honestly. And again, slowly, carefully come on out of the pose. Make sure you've done both sides pretty equally. Come back to all fours and do cat and cow. So get the breath just moving, flowing all the way through the chamber again. Okay, and then from cat and cow, I want you to scooch over so that your right hand and your right leg is on your yoga mat, but your left hand and your left knee are not. Do downward facing dog from there. So your right hand and your right foot are on the left edge of your yoga mat. And you're going to do side plank on this edge of the mat. Turn to the outer edge of the right foot. Press down through the right hand. Lift the left hand up to the sky. And then step the left foot behind you so it goes over to the other edge of your mat. You're ready to twist the hips up towards the sky. Wild thing pose. Hatha Makrasana, try to straighten the right leg, but keep the left knee bent, left foot flat on the mat. Big, huge, open back bend. To get out of the pose, easiest thing is just kind of bend all the limbs to sit down on your butt. And then we can untwist, unwind. Walk it over to the other side. So we did side plank for a whole class a couple of weeks ago. Hoping most of us taken in some of those lessons and we're ready to go right into it. Left hand, left foot. Now on the right edge of your mat, you're in downward facing dog. And you turn outer edge of the left foot. And you can keep at least 3 limbs on the ground the whole time and go right into that step behind your body. And then turn and rotate with both knees bent. Lift and stretch. Back into your wild thing pose. Yes, you could step out of it. Or I just like to bend the elbow and knees to sit back down on my butt. That way I know I'm not going to risk any injury trying to get out. And come back around to all fours. All right, downward facing dog. Lift the right leg up into the air. Step it all the way forward. Triangle pose is next. Bend the back heel down. Right fingertips to your ankle, to the floor. Lift the left arm up and straighten the right leg. Left hip should open to the side as you stretch the left arm to the sky. Bring the left hand to your hip. Look down at the mat. Bend your right knee. Step forward and up into half moon pose. Listen up here. Pull your left knee in towards your chest. Round your back like cat pose. Can you slide your left hand to the front of your left foot? This can all be done with a bent bottom leg. Try to keep hold of that left foot and point the left knee to the back end of your yoga mat so that you're in the quad stretch, you're in the thigh stretch. And then you open again, left hip more towards the side, more towards the sky, like it was in triangle pose a moment before. Everything bends again. To slowly step out of the pose, 2 feet down to the yoga mat. Downward facing dog. Lift the left leg up into the air, 3-legged dog. Step all the way forward into your long, low lunge. Spin the back heel down. Change to triangle pose. Don't think about the thing that's going to come after it. Stay in the present moment. Stay with those long, lengthened exhales. As the right hand goes up to the sky, notice how it's dragging the left hip more towards the side, more towards the sky. And then place the right hand back on your hip. As you look down, the hip can rotate down a little bit. Bend the left knee. You're going to step in until you're ready for half moon. Lift the right leg up. Right hip travels towards the side, to the sky again. Right hand with it. Okay, you can stay and play in this variation of half moon. Or what we're trying to do is do like cat back. Pull the right knee into the chest, bend the left knee. Slide the right hand down the front of your shin. Try to get towards the ankle. And then the right knee would glide down to the floor to pull back up towards the back end of your yoga mat, not off to the side. Can the head of the kneecap face towards the back end of the mat first? Heel to the hip. Keeping that, then reopen right hip towards the side, belly towards the side. You're in that bound version of half moon. Slowly come back towards your cat, rounded back. Let go of the right foot, 2 feet on the mat. And step it all the way back to downward facing dog. Okay, one last pass at our twisted monkey pose. Look towards the hands. I'm going to walk the hands more towards the left side of the mat. Make a lot of room to take a big step forward. Right foot to the outside of the hands. Set the left knee down. Turn the right foot, knee hip out like you do in your Malasana, yogi squat. We already know this from before. Left hand goes forward, out to the side. It bears some weight for us here so that it's easier to pull the back heel in. Look over the right shoulder. Again, exaggerate that big reach to get into the back leg. So don't cut it off. Don't just like try to reach back. Take the big pull and reach. It'll get you more into the torso, more helpful. Take a little bend in this bottom left elbow so we're not too stuck. As you deepen the quad stretch, also change to the fingertips. Now I've got a little less weight on that bottom left hand, more room for the turn in the torso. There's the twist. Back bend. From the beginning of class, remember tips of the shoulder blades in, and the upper back tries to fold over it. Look towards the sky. If you want even more depth in that back bend, you work down to the forearm. It makes the quad stretch, I think, a little more doable while adding in depth of the back bend. And then we all carefully, slowly crawl our way out of the pose. Back to downward facing dog to reset. And then both hands a little more over towards the right side so that there's a lot of space to swing that left leg forward into the low lunge. Set the back knee down. You're already using the width of the mat just between the legs. Take the right hand out and over. As you pull the right heel in, take that big rainbow shape, left arm out, around, and back. Your depth of the quad stretch, bend in the right elbow, that front bottom arm. And it's just a little bend and straighten that's giving me more room here. Keep the right elbow bent, tone and turn in the abdomen. Look more up, look a little bit back. Again, squeeze tips of the shoulder blades in, broaden across the collarbone as you tilt the head a little back. Go down to the forearm if you'd like to try that again on this side. In every case, stay toned, navel towards the spine. Slowly release. Let's make our way back to downward facing dog one more time. Full body stretch here. Last on the hands and feet. And then lower the knees, sit back onto your seat, and stretch your legs out in front of you. With the legs out in front, flex the feet so toes and knees point straight up to the sky. Stretch the arms high. Enjoy the forward fold here. We've done a lot of big back bend expressions. Just fold over now here. No striving, just kind of relaxing. And come upright. Place the right foot in and cross over. Nice easy twist here. Look over your right shoulder, turning towards the right thigh. And then come back to the center. Change. Left foot in and over. Foot flat. Both sides of our seat pretty firm. Take the twist towards the left thigh. And inhale and come back to the center. Let's lie down onto our back. As you do that, pull your knees into your chest. Nice little squeeze. Figure 4, cross your right ankle over the left thigh, point the knee more out to the side, pull the legs in, thread the arms through. Unthread the arms, cross the legs, so like eagle legs. With the right leg on top, drop both knees over towards the left side. And if that eagle legs is a little too intense to add in the twist, of course, just unwrap and stack the legs instead. Super important to always look for the ways to change, to alter, and do the pose best for yourself. And then come back to the center. Second side, cross the left ankle over the right, pull the knee in. And when you're ready, change to the eagle legs and the twist. With the left leg on top, sending both knees towards the right. Okay, come back to the middle, unwrap. Give yourself a good little hug here. Pull the knees closer in. Head and shoulders off the mat, good squeeze. And drop it down, feet to the mat, knees fall in towards each other. At least 4 deep breaths just here. Take a mental scan of the body. Is there any last movement, settling that would feel right to you? Maybe it's just a little bit more unwinding to feel comfortable. Safe inversion prior to Shavasana. Done a lot of good work to open in the upper body. Maybe you just want one more back bend to be in that space, or nothing at all. And then now is your time to shift. Final relaxation, Shavasana. As always, pick any position for Shavasana that you'd like. Where can you find a little stillness in mind and body and spirit? Keep bringing your focus at first to that extension of the exhale breath. Feel hear the hardening of the rain just outside my windows. I know some of you might too. Let it feel as though it's washing through. Ever so slowly now, bring attention, awareness back to breath and body together, a bit of movement, fingers, toes. Heavy attention to the breath. In your own time, roll to the side and then come back up to a good seat. like to close today singing Om Shanti 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 Om. Shanti means peace. Please join in as you wish. Take a breath in, empty it out. Breath in. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Much prayers and gratitude to you, to each other for this practice. Namaste. Thank you all. Wonderful to see you all on video.